What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Franchise Empire newsletter. I am your host here with my co-host. My name is Tarek Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of Franchise Empire, and I'm here with Mr. Mark Magerman, who leads our whole brokerage team and division here at Franchise Empire. What's up, Mark?
Hi, Tarek. How are you?
Fantastic. Long time no see.
I think it was the last time we did this last Monday, which is kind of sad that we work in the same company and I only get to see you once a week. But that, in my opinion, that beats the alternative, right? You don't need to be seeing my ugly mug every day.
That's funny. You know, there's nothing that beats in person. I was just having this conversation with someone the other day. Like remote is cool and it's nice to have the flexibility, but there's nothing like a face-to-face conversation, right?
Could not agree more.
Cool, guys. Well, we got some good stuff for you today. So one of the craziest franchises you'll ever see with good sales to investment ratio. This one is a pretty interesting concept. We also will talk about a handful of resales, one which does 1.8 million in sales. They're with the same brand, so I just figured while we were showing you the one, might as well tell you some of the other areas I handpicked, some specific markets where the resales looked attractive. If there were like non-attractive resales or what I thought were more turnarounds, I did not include those. So, and you might be interested in a turnaround. So either way, you can reach out and we can help see if anything's available. We'll also talk about a client spotlight and a client of ours that was in the military and bought a franchise and kind of what his journey's like, as well as our latest episode of our Zero to Profitable Franchise podcast with an ex-banker slammed the door. He did not close it gently, ladies and gentlemen. He slammed it. I'm just trying to be entertaining right now. I'm at least entertaining myself. Mark, are you getting anything out of that?
It's very entertaining, Tarek. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's jump in. Boom. Resale. Mark, you want to tell us a little bit about CertaPro and we can dive into this resale?
Yeah. So I think we had CertaPro as a resale a couple of weeks back in our newsletter. And the reason they keep coming up on resale is because they are so popular that that's really the only way you can almost get involved with CertaPro nowadays. I think at last check, it was over 350 franchise units sold in the country, which once you're getting close to that number, there's just not a lot of available territory unless you live out in the boonies somewhere, and it's probably not going to work there. So, people who've been listening to me for the last few weeks, I believe resales are a lot more challenging and there's a lot of moving parts. But when I see resales for brands like CertaPro, I really jump on board because that's the only way you get into a really good brand like this. So I would say this gives clear focus on that. And again, painting is just a very simple business. Notice I didn't say easy. There's no such thing as easy, but it's very simple, right? You've got paint, you've got painters, you've got equipment, you've got one vehicle, and off the door you go. So very exciting for anybody interested in resales. Certainly this home service painting brand is top notch.
Yeah, for sure. Couldn't have said it better myself. So this particular one, and by the way, guys, in Mark's point about the popularity and stuff, the CertaPro's been around for a long time. They're ranked number one. They've been around since 1992, so almost as long as I've been alive. So they're established. It's hard to get in here as a new franchisee, although they do have some select markets that are open. But when you've been doing it for 30, almost 40 years, you're going to have people naturally who are retiring, situations changing, moving, etc. And that's when some of those resales come available. So this particular one is in the Washington, D.C. area. Which is anyone who knows the DMV area. I grew up in that area. There's a lot of money in that area and a lot of affluence. And when you're in a business like this, you want to be able to secure, obviously, the bigger average ticket you can get, meaning average size job, the better that is for you and your company. This particular location started out in 2015. The asking price is $795,000. And just a quick point of education reference here, because I know that a lot of you may not be familiar with resales. And I remember one time we had a client that he was pretty risk averse and was nervous about, starting a franchise, kind of a high thinker, analytical personality. And our team showed him a resale. And the resale was priced at a little bit over 900 grand. I think it was $950,000. And he was like, that is just, why would I pay $950,000 for like a franchise? It just doesn't make sense. He was like almost offended. And it was because of his lack of education. And so we educated him on, when you're buying a resale, the higher the price, the better, typically. That means that the more money the business is making. The lower the price means that the less money it's making, or that it's a turnaround, it's actually losing money. So an asking price of $795,000 is a good thing. They have rolling 12 months revenue of $1.8 million. So this is something where if you're someone where you've led teams, you know how to manage, you know how to hire and fire, probably a good opportunity. If you're someone who you've never hired, fired, trained, or led anyone, this could be a little bit too much to bite off as your first opportunity, because it's like stepping into on a train that's already going 70 miles per hour with the level of success they're having. If you want to find out more about the cash flow of this specific opportunity, that's available upon request. You can go to franchiseempire.com/resales. And then some other strong areas and markets that CertaPro has some resales in: Thousand Oaks, California; Atlanta, Georgia; New Jersey area; Bartlett, Tennessee; and Virginia Peninsula, Virginia, which I've never heard of Virginia Peninsula. I grew up in Virginia, so hopefully I got that right. Just some quick on kind of our take. It's the same. Honestly, these are the same bullet points that we hit every time we show a CertaPro resale, but we realize we have new people every week that we do this, so it's not the same people watching. But to Mark's point, you don't need experience in painting or home improvement. It's funny, actually. So I went to golfing this weekend, which was a lot of fun. It's been a while since I went golfing, and I got paired up with this group. And talking to one of the guys, he's in commercial banking. He's like, "What? You do franchise stuff? I almost bought a Jimmy John's like 17 years ago." We get talking about franchising and home services, and he's like, "Well, do I have to be the one doing the work?" And I'm like, No. The franchisors don't want you doing the work. They want you to recruit and build your team and lead your business. So you're not out there painting, owning a painting business. You are leading your crew. You're leading the sales and marketing, the operations, all of that good stuff. CertaPro is one of the strongest home service franchise brands. They have a 5-week hands-on training, and they have a 90% plus retention rate among their franchisees over the past 3 years. In their most recent item 19 in their franchise disclosure document, the average of all franchisees that have been open 1 year or more is $2 million in sales. So you can see, actually, this location technically underperforms the average. They have some franchisees that do high. They show some higher numbers, I'm pretty sure, in their FTD. I'm not going to guess so I can stay compliant, but if we pulled up their FTD, I would be able to show you that there's some bigger numbers in there. And that's it. Mark, anything else to add around this resale, or what do you think about an opportunity like this? Purchase price of $800,000, revenue of 1.8.
I think your feedback, Tarek, on if this is the first business venture you're looking into, it could be a little prickly. And what I say to this is, first of all, my recommendation is you don't want to live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and take ownership of a business in Washington, D.C. So this should be mostly for people who are in the D.C. area looking for opportunity. That's number one. And number two, and I'm not saying this to dampen resales, I'm saying it actually to strengthen them. But if you look at it from a worst case scenario, there's more risk involved with the resale, right? You're paying a higher value, but there's justification in that number. That asking price of $795 is a justifiable number based on the revenue and the profit. But remember, you're also inheriting that team of employees that generated that revenue. So Tarek's exactly right. If you haven't managed that team before and you take ownership of a company in which that management skill is required, it's a slippery slope. So you got to be cautious of that, because if you don't manage this team right and all of a sudden a month into it, they start peeling off, then your investment goes down. So it's really a more sophisticated buy. And we're happy to talk to anybody about this resale. But one of the things we will ask is, do you have a demonstrated track record in management? And if you don't, you might be better off starting elsewhere. I think it's a very important point. And I think what happens is a lot of people just look at the upside. Oh my God, I pay this, I get $800,000, I'm rich. They don't look at all the lines between it and what happens. So that's what we're for. We're here to help guide you guys correctly. But that's just something I want to caution. Be in the area where the resale is, and please bring some acumen and experience to the table from a management standpoint.
Yeah, 100%. Sean, let's see. Sean's question: does training from corp come once you buy a pre-existing franchise? It comes after you sign your franchise agreement. Period. Whether you buy existing or new, that's when you unlock the training from the franchisor. What would the net profits be off of the 1.8? Well, profits are going to vary from franchisee to franchisee depending upon how they run their business. And if they're throwing in a bunch of personal expenses on their P&L and all sorts of other things. But for this specific one, if you wanted to find out the cash flow, which we do have the answer to the cash flow, you would need to reach out to us and schedule a meeting because, of course, it's sensitive information.
Yeah, and ultimately, Tarek, the next step would be if they met the seller, tax returns and P&L statements from the last several years will give you a full understanding of the net to owner amount that they'll have at the end of each year. It's all part of your due diligence, and frankly, even Tarek or I wouldn't know that.
Yeah. Cool. All right, let's keep it rocking and rolling. So right now, let's see. Let me press a button to do something else. Here we go. By the way, guys, if you do not get this, what I'm going over here, if you don't get this in your inbox, you should. Let me show you how you can do that. Let me stop screen, share screen. So I want to show you guys how I can make life a little bit easier for you. So if you go to franchiseempire.com and you go to free resources and go to Empire Builder articles, you can pull up the most recent. Looks like we haven't posted that on the website yet, so I'll get our team to post that. But if you don't get these newsletters, you can grab that here. So I'll drop that link for you guys as well, if you wanted to make sure that you were signed up for that to get it. All right, let's go back to your. How does that phrase go, Mark? Back to the whatever you're tuning in for, something like that. Wasn't that a thing that they would say on commercials?
Back to your regularly scheduled broadcast.
There we go. Thank you. I knew you would know it.
I'm old.
I must be too, because I couldn't even remember it.
There you go.
Okay. Before we move on to the crazy franchise that we're going to talk about, just want to congratulate Ryan. So after retiring from the military, which thank you for your service, Ryan, we appreciate it. Ryan transitioned into a role at eBay supporting their military department. But he, deep down just felt a pull towards something more lasting, a business that could not only provide for his family, but also leave a legacy. And when Ryan came to us, he was cautious, skeptical, and he really made it clear, like, hey, I don't want to be pressured or sold into a franchise, right? And what he was looking for was guidance and clarity and confidence and just support. And so we, through some of the tools that we provide, we assisted Ryan with that, and he was initially leaning towards senior care, and our team went out there, went hard to work to see and identify what specific options were available in his area. Because even if you find a franchise that is your favorite one, it may not be available in your area. What happens then? Do you give up? You give up at the first sign of adversity? Well, then you're probably not meant to be an entrepreneur. I'll tell you that. So, you know, anyways, we were able to help Ryan with that process. He is now a franchisee, and we're just really grateful to have been a part of Ryan's journey, and really excited to see the positive impact that he will make as he launches his new business. So congratulations, Ryan.
Nice job, Ryan. What we've learned, Tarek, over the years is ex-service and military folks that we can't thank enough are more and more, almost daily, deciding to look into franchise opportunities because they make perfect candidates, right? I mean, the whole franchise model is about being able to follow a proven system. And boy, if you're a serviceman or a servicewoman, that's what you live to follow the systems. And it just gives, I think, service people, retired servicemen and women, just an amazing opportunity to become entrepreneurial because they'll show you all the tools you need. And it's just the numbers don't lie. More and more franchisors are telling us about franchisees who are ex-military. So anybody ex-military listening in, you can do a lot worse than getting on our calendar, at least for an initial conversation, and we can help you. But it's great springboard for your post-military career.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you used to follow in a system, kind of just following a playbook. Sometimes franchisees just get themselves in trouble because they think they know better. So, all right, our franchise of the week. This very, very interesting franchise. Mark, have you ever placed? I know we had someone like maybe like a year and a half ago. Her name's Victoria, who wind up buying Bio One. Have you had anyone actually ever buy a Bio One?
No, interesting. I haven't, but I had them look at Bio One and another restoration brand that they ended up purchasing. So I've had success with placing candidates in the restoration industry, not necessarily with Bio One.
Okay. Well, Bio One is crime and trauma scene cleaning. Yeah, which is very, very, very interesting.
I think that was the reason, honestly, if I remember, they were a little nervous about the crime and trauma scene aspect of it. So they kind of pivoted more to residential restoration, the typical stuff, if I remember right. But that's what makes Bio One unique. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go right ahead.
No, that was a good point. And it actually, I did not. And usually I try to link things up intentionally. Like our last newsletter, I think we did have a restoration brand as a resale and a restoration brand as a franchise of the week. That was intentional. What I did not intentionally do here, and I just realized it, is so we're talking about Ryan, who's in the military, and Bio One. So they do crime and trauma scene cleaning, right? So someone gets killed or crazy situations, like they come in and provide a service cleaning up a crime scene, right? That's pretty intense. And Victoria, one of the clients that we helped, I think a couple of years ago now, actually, she was in the military, and she's retired military. And when she was in the military, she witnessed someone that was in her platoon commit suicide in front of her. And she actually had to help clean up their remains. And I remember her telling me this story when we had done our initial call of like potentially working together, and just like, wow, that's crazy. And it was through that story that our team wound up saying, hey, well, like, you've got to see this franchise. This kind of aligns really well for, she really wanted to be in a concept, in a franchise that had meaningful impact. And she just felt very comfortable. And her mission was really to be able to support families through, traumatic experiences, and be there to just help through that process. So that's ultimately why she wound up choosing Bio One. Isn't that a crazy story, Mark?
It's a great story, and it kind of reminds me of a quick other one, which was when we were operating our Five Guys business. We had a situation that required us to hire a company like Bio One. We didn't use Bio One. We didn't use it franchise at the time, but they had to come in. And the reason I'm telling the story is the good news as a franchise owner is it's insurance backed. So our insurance company paid the bill. So the franchisee is guaranteeing getting the payment, right? Because the insurance company's doing it. And that's some kind of a sense of comfort, right? Because you always know the cash flow is coming in. What's a little trickier is sometimes it doesn't come in as quickly as you like. So you got to be able to manage cash flow really well in a business like this. But because so much of it is insurance based, and because it's these traumatic situations, you're not getting rejected. So you're going to get your money. You just got to be really smart business manager. That's the acumen you got to bring to the table. Make sure you don't run out of cash. But it's a great opportunity, and it's relatively unique. There is competition, but this brand is doing really, really well. If you just look at some of the past numbers from the FDDs, which would obviously be made available to you.
Yeah, 100%. Well, walk us through some of the numbers and some of the data points.
Again, they opened up in 2010. Started franchising it shortly after that. They were acquired by Five Star Franchising in 2021. A lot of our brands have been acquired by families of brands, in this case, Five Star Franchising. Tarek and I really like these brands because Five Star Franchising is one of several families of brands. They own several brands under their umbrella. They're very smart. They're a lot smarter than me. So they know when they're going out looking for brand, they know what they're looking for. So when they actually go out and make an acquisition of a brand, it registers in our world, right? Like, wow, Five Star bought Bio One as a franchise broker. I need to start looking at that because there's a reason why. So when they get acquired by these companies, that's always a really positive sign that I share with my candidates. So that's one. 130 units, that's very mature. Anything over 100 is very mature and robust. So this is one of them that is, but it's also not too many that there still may be some nice territories in your area to contemplate when you're considering it. Franchise fee, relatively standard number. Royalties and the national marketing fee, relatively standard. That 2% national marketing fee, really what that amounts to is that's individual franchisees' individual contribution toward the national marketing fund that you'll be benefiting from. But the investment range, and it's a range. We don't need to get too much into why there's a low and a high. There's obviously some things that everyone has to purchase and some things you don't. But boy, there's not a lot of really amazing companies out there that you can be all in running your business day one for about $170,000. And that includes the franchise fee of $60,000. So a very affordable business backed by lots of insurance claims makes it a nice, simpler pathway to success with a brand like this.
Yeah, 100%. I know I was surprised at doing the newsletter. I didn't realize how inexpensive it was actually to get rocking.
You know what? I'm with you because I thought you would have had to purchase transportation vehicles and all this hazmat equipment that was going to add up. So again, the fact that it's not is even better.
Yeah. And so when we look at the numbers, guys, like one of the things that we talk about, it's in some of our educational programs that we have some like online courses for folks that are in the franchise buying process or just want to become more educated. We talk about the sales to investment ratio, and in service brands looking for like a 3-to-1. So if it's if it's 100,000 in startup costs, looking at average sales of 300,000. And so in pulling up their numbers, the cool thing about 5-star is their 5-star franchising, the parent company, they're always really transparent with their numbers and their FDDs. They believe in showing the full story. Some franchisors will kind of try to hide it a little bit, but they show everything, which is pretty cool. But you'll see here that when we look at the second, obviously we can see, okay, fourth quartile average 112,000 in revenue, third quartile 275,000 in revenue, second quartile 446,000, and the first quartile 446,000. And what's interesting, though, is that only 15 of the 27 here reported and 14 of the 28. It just shows you possibly why they are in the third and fourth quartile. Because what's interesting to me is that the first and second quartile, all 27 franchisees reported their numbers. The third and fourth quartile, basically, let's just call it 50% reported their numbers. So it's like, okay, if you can't even report your numbers, what else are you not doing in your business that is contributing to you being in the third and fourth quartile? Right, Mark?
Not only right, and I'm glad you gave me an opportunity, because I would have had to interrupt you and added it, because I can't let this get by. But, they are very transparent. This brand is very transparent with their numbers. You're looking at it right here. It's very clean. And it just screams loudly. The reason why they're transparent is because they know they're a good franchise brand. They know that. They know they've got the systems in place. What they can never control is how each individual franchisee is going to execute the model. And what this clearly says is, if you follow the model and you do as directed by the experts, look at the top 50% of the company. They're all reporting. They're all doing above average. They're all doing well. The bottom two, not. Tarek's point, they don't even have the ability to report the numbers, which, by the way, is something they sign up on their agreement to do, right? They have to do that. And the reason these numbers are underperforming is because the franchisees are underperforming. That's why when you have an opportunity to call validate franchisees as you're doing part of your due diligence, I always find it very impactful to call some underperformers. This does not say the brand stinks because 28 people are doing $112,000. It says the brand's there to support those who want to do really well, but this is a group of people that aren't. In my estimation, this is them screaming from the highest rooftop. We got some really bad franchisees, and we need to share that with you. And that's what this says. This says nothing about the brand. This says everything about the quality of the underperforming franchisees. Sorry,
yeah,
I'm done.
Facts. No, that was, great. Yeah, great point. Love the passion. The other thing too, you might look and go, well, 446,000 and for the second quartile as an average, and 715,000, that doesn't really seem like a lot. There are some businesses, because of just the cost structure and the lower amount of expenses, that number one, you don't need to do as high of a sales in order to produce a healthy margin. Number two is also, again, when you think about it from a sales to investment ratio, meaning sales to startup cost, I guess it'd be a simpler way of explaining that would be sales to startup cost ratio. But a sales to startup cost ratio, the numbers look pretty good, in my opinion. They meet the sniff test of the 3 to 1.
Well, Tarek, if I came up to you and you didn't know me, and I said I have this great opportunity for you, it's going to cost you 160 grand. And if you follow it, if you do it right, you're going to average $715,000 a year in return. Would you say that was a good investment?
Oh yeah, and I paid double that to open my store, and I'm pretty sure the average around
I paid a lot more than double,
around 700.
But that's my point. This is a good investment, and again, once you pay off that investment, which you might be able to do in your first year, then that's covered. Then the rest is all profit for you. So that's why the investment ratio to average sales in the brand is a real important criteria when you're looking into ones that you may be interested in.
Yeah,
We can help with that too.
100%. We're gonna just talk about some of the unique things about this brand real quick. But by the way, if you guys are interested in this particular brand and knowing, like, hey, I wonder, as Sean said, this would do well in Detroit and Chicago. That is, I'm laughing and cringing at the same time because it's actually very sad. Basically, what he's saying is that there's a lot of crime and murder in those areas. But you know, it's true. Supply and demand, I guess, is the name of the game. But if you're
it
interested,
also works well with hazardous. It's not always about murder and crime. It's, you know, accidents and things that happen. Of course, it's not just going to areas where there's a lot of crime and murder. There's lots of other reasons above and beyond that you would need a service like this. Just want to make that point.
yes, thank you. That's a great clarification. So yeah, if you guys want to know if your market's available, you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory. And even if you have no interest in this brand, but you're like, you know what, Mark and Tarek, those guys are funny, I kind of want to work with them, then you can go to that link too and schedule a meeting, and we can have a conversation around what brands could be a good fit for you and checking if they're available. But Mark, you want to just kind of speed through some of these points about the brand?
Sure. No seasonality is definitely true. So this works well in the Northeast, every part in the country, because the business that they're in happens everywhere. So many restoration franchises do have some seasonality, but Bio One does not. Unfortunately, mental health issues cause the need for most Bio One services, and that's something that happens 24/7. I just made the point earlier, it's not all about just murders and crimes. It's about hazardous accidents. And again, it's a 24/7 year-round business. And keep in mind, as an owner, that may end up being, you know, because what we do is we try to help people find the perfect match for their franchises and their franchise and their quality of life, right? So is this a business that you might get calls at 2:00 in the morning on a Friday night because something happened? Yes. So it's just one of those aspects of this franchise that you have to keep in mind. This isn't a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 business that some people want. But if that's what you want, then you probably wouldn't get in with this. And again, very limited competition because it's very hard work. It's niche. And for that reason, there aren't as many companies that do it. And again, I think a big part of that also is because you have to wait to get paid through the insurance companies. And that's an obstacle unless you know that going in. So those are the two best things. Those are two good ones. I don't know if you have any other benefits.
There are. I just wanted to drop a quick comment before we went to them, which is, sure, you know, obviously the the tariff stuff is a huge conversation right now, and you know, it's people are uncertain. Well, there are a lot of franchise concepts that are service based that if you're looking at something that would, you know, of course there's no such thing as really recession proof, but if you're looking for something that has the opportunity to thrive in a recession regardless of the economic environment that we're in as well, this is that sort of a business as well. If you're like, I want a business that won't be impacted by tariffs, be careful what you wish for, my friends. You might find yourself cleaning up some hazard, some bio waste or crime scene, but
it is profitable though.
Yeah, limited competition.
Again, quick startup. You're going to find most of these service businesses give you that opportunity. You can work from home. You don't need a physical location. Yes, you have to get your license and certifications and insurance. The franchise will help you do that. Then you need a truck and a couple of techs and you're ready to go. So, you know, you hit the ground running. I always tell this story because when I was a franchisee and with 5 guys, it took us 6 months to find our first lease. It took us another 9 months to build out the location. Our money was being sucked up for 18 months before we could even make $1. Here, you're going to be making your money within 60, 90 days of getting started. Just a huge advantage. Again, very limited staff. And again, because it's part of 5-star, you know you're getting tremendous experience and leadership at the top of that organization. They're a really good family of brands.
Yeah, 100%. Steven asks, how can I get this PDF? I'll hit on this again real quick. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. So there's two ways actually. So the first one is if you're not on our, we send these out every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. So you can get a 24-hour or more jump start. So you just go to this link, franchiseempire.com/newsletter. It should, if you scroll up, the link will be above, or you can just navigate it from the website. Then you'll get this in your inbox every Sunday morning. Now, granted, that doesn't help you with this specific one. For this specific one, click on free resources, Empire Builder articles, and we will have it updated and posted here by the end of the day today. By the end of the day, we will have this up and posted. Typically, when we're doing this live, we typically have it posted. So that's how you get access to this.
And or Stephen, you could give us a call and get on one of our calendars, and we could spend some time and talk to you about it as well if that's something of interest to you.
100%. By going to franchiseempire.com/check territory, if you can see that banner on the screen. Last but not, let's see. Troy said such an interesting biz, right? I know it is. That's why, I titled it Crazy Weird Franchise Opportunity. It was just like, that was the best I could come up with. And also I thought it was pretty catchy and would capture people's interest.
And I don't want to, everyone's privacy here, but that was Troy. And if it's the same Troy I'm thinking of, then Troy, you and I are meeting this week, and we'll have a chance to talk about some real live franchises for you. So thanks for participating.
Nice. Yeah. Fantastic. Brian asks, how do you find employees? How many needed? I think you only need from when I had spoken to Victoria, she used contractors. So she would use contractors for a lot of the jobs. So she would have kind of a Rolodex of 5, 10, 15 different contractors that she could kind of call on for the different jobs, depending upon who is available. So that's part of what helps decrease the startup costs is you don't have W-2 people on the payroll, at least in the beginning. And the great thing about a franchise is the franchisor is generally going to give you guidance or on how to grow your team, how other franchisees are doing it, handling labor, etc. And then you can actually talk specifically to the other franchisees, like, hey, what's working for you to recruit people, or whatever. You get to get access to what's actually working, talking to people that are running the same exact business as you.
Yeah, the franchisor will also have a database and means to introduce you to several of them. And Tarek's point about the subcontractors, not only is it less expensive, but in this industry, you're hiring subs who've been experienced. You're getting experienced, talented people out of the gate. And then as you grow your business, those really good subs are the ones that you'll ultimately offer full-time employment to be your lead techs or your lead people. And that's how you start scaling your business for profitability and for growth.
Yeah, 100%. Cool, guys. Last but not least, the most recent episode of the Zero to Profitable Franchise podcast. Ex-banker slams the door on corporate America and buys this franchise. So this is Ferris. Ferris is, man, he's a life of the party kind of guy, super entertaining. Just a fantastic individual. He recently purchased a cleaning and restoration franchise after 20 years in corporate. He was a relationship banker, I believe, or private banker. And what actually got him attracted to franchising was because, and he talks about it in the podcast episode, so maybe I shouldn't share too much. But he talks about how when he was in banking, he's seeing his clients applying for these loans and to get to own franchises. And he's looking at some of the numbers and the business plans and the pro formas, and he's going, I got to get me one of these. And so that's and then he started watching videos on YouTube and came across us on YouTube. And then, fast forward about a year and here he is now on the podcast. So if you want to watch the episode, you can go to the Franchise Empire YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you're not subscribed here, I'm really excited. We've got a new initiative that we're going to be doing with our marketing team, and we're going to be posting all of our franchise specific videos on the Franchise Empire channel. And really the Tarek Johnson channel is going to be shifting and changing, and talking less about franchises. So make sure you're subscribed here so you get alerted when we post videos here. We're going to start to do more breakdowns and reviewing like popular franchises. There's going to be just some really fantastic content here. But you can see here the episode. So definitely watch it there. Or if you're someone who likes to listen to podcasts, just type in 0 to profitable franchise in whatever audio podcast platform you're on, and it'll pop right up and you'll be able to listen on there. Mark, anything else to wrap with?
No, I think this was a good one. I think we had some good examples, and I'd love to talk to some people who are giving us a call because of what they saw today. That would be fantastic.
Yes, 100%. All right, guys, you guys have a good rest of your day. Mark, thanks for joining.
Likewise. Thank you.